This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connect the world.
Carel van Wyk, software engineer and founder, cryptoconvert, South Africa.
Cryptonomicon is a 1999 novel by American author Neil Stephenson, set in two different time periods. One group of characters are World War II era Allied codebreakers. The second narrative is set in the late 1990s, with characters that are in part descendants of those of the earlier time period. Their goal is to facilitate anonymous internet banking using electronic money and later digital gold currency. Is this book the ultimate geek novel?
Well, this is my favorite, yes.
All of my groceries are bought using Bitcoin at Pick and Pay.
No.
Tankwa Desert is named after the Tankwa River that runs through the Tankwa Park as the main water provider. Lying between the Cedarburg Mountains and the Great Karoo Escarpment, it incorporates three distinct ecosystems: pure desert in the west, open grasslands in the center, and the Roggeveld Mountains in the east. Do you know the true meaning of the word Tankwa is unknown, but it is said to be turbid water, place of the San or thirst land?
Yes.
In 2023, cryptoconvert will onboard another big retailer to Bitcoin and the Lightning Network.
Yes.
The Matrix is a 1999 science fiction action film written and directed by the Wachowskis. It is the first installment in the Matrix film series starring Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne. Is it a shame that Morpheus didn't present Neo an orange pill aside of the blue and the red one?
Yes, of course.
Bobotie is a well-known South African dish containing layers of cooked meat, pine nuts, and seasoned with pepper and celery seeds. These are cooked until the flavors are blended and a top layer of egg and milk is added. Do you know that the first recipe for bobotie appeared in a Dutch cookbook in 1609?
No.
I prefer a nice glass of South African wine over a bottle of boer beer.
Yes. Sorry, Boer.
Table Mountain is a flat-top mountain forming a prominent landmark overlooking the city of Cape Town in South Africa. It is a significant tourist attraction with many visitors using the cableway or hiking to the top. But it's also known for its great mountain biking trials. Is this your favorite mountain to go for a ride?
Almost. So no.
Mark Richard Shuttleworth is a South African and British entrepreneur who is the founder and CEO of Canonical, the company behind the Linux-based Ubuntu operating system. In 2002, Shuttleworth became the first South African to travel to space as a space tourist. Do you know members of the Bitcoin.org forum reached out to him in 2013 and asked if he could add Bitcoin as a form of payment? His answer was, "It's a super suggestion, by the way."
No, didn't know this.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
Well, yes. Everyone is, except for Craig Wright.
Welcome to the Connect the World weekly podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 59 of Connect the World. Steph,
hey,
good
Eddie.
to see you. Carel van Wyk, hi. This show is made possible by BL3P, our friends there, and thanks everybody else also to support us in our mission to connect the world. And if you also want to help us out, then please support us on Twitter. You can follow us, or you can, of course, subscribe at YouTube or find us in the Telegram groups. And you can ask a question there. And of course, a donation is always welcome.
That's correct. And talking about BL3P, Edward, I don't know, Carel, if are you a trader? or do you just stack and hodl?
I've never made a profitable trade, so I try to stay away from that. Stack and hodl for me, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, because BL3P, this is the highlight of the week for this week. And BL3P is a Bitcoin-only exchange and it's a Dutch-based company, by the way, Bitonic. But I was thinking, I know that Edward likes to trade a little, but I was thinking BL3P, I don't ever trade. I never sold any set, for instance.
I love their platform. It has an app also, and I just love the company is from 2013, so it's very old. And it's just, for me, it's the same as the start, because when I started, they were there, and it was an interesting story, and they're just stick to the game and are Bitcoin only.
Yeah, really, I think Bitcoin believers. But the nice thing is that, because this is the highlight of the week, but I was thinking my highlight of the week would be Bits. It's another service by Bitonic, because I was it's like a DCA like a DCA service. So you get when you subscribe to Bits, you get a bank account, and every time you put money on that bank account, Bitonic is automatically converting it to Bitcoin. And it's
super easy.
Yeah, I have an automatic transfer every Tuesday. But if I have some spare fiat money, I can also wire that to that bank account, and they also automatically convert it to your account. So, but yeah, you worked for an exchange in South Africa, right, Carel?
That's correct, yes.
And do they also provide, or is there an exchange that provides a similar service to the customers in that sense?
Well, I think if you're referring to DCA, which is probably the best way to accumulate, I know there are some products working on that. I haven't seen one that's fully fledged yet, but I know some people are working on it.
Okay.
So you have a scoop, or is it is unofficial?
Well, I don't have any insights or inside info I can give you, but there's some companies like Up and Up that's building the same product, a dedicated DCA product.
Okay, and is it also dedicated to Bitcoin, or do they also have other crypto?
Bitcoin only.
Oh, perfect.
Bitcoin only. All right.
Perfect. So we need to get them on the show, Edward.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think it really fits. Let's do a proper welcome. So, Carel, great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and to deep dive in everything you've done in South Africa, because can you explain very fast very short what you did with cryptoconvert?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think firstly, just to mention that this is a side project. It's something that we're building in our spare time, although that's changing this year, so we're committing full time. And what it is we're trying to drive Lightning payments adoption, because we evaluated the technology. We found that it's very suitable for payments. We've got excellent liquidity pools in South Africa, so building a service and running it seems like quite feasible. And we feel that it's needed here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And you said that not all of your groceries are bought using Bitcoin at Pick n Pay. How come, man? The man behind.
I was wondering if you would call me out, but it is also a technology-related answer. So recently in South Africa, it's become popular to have your groceries delivered. So all the grocery chains have applications where you can order on the app and it gets delivered to your home. And we just haven't completed the integration for the app payments yet. So I still get a lot of stuff delivered by Pick n Pay's competitors. But when I do drive to a shopping mall, then I always go to Pick n Pay when I leave the house.
Awesome. Okay, that's a matter of time. I mean, that's a technical solution is coming, and then.
You are also going to integrate it at their website, then, for instance, because I can imagine that ordering groceries to deliver has to be at their website or something.
It's interesting because you'd think it's probably less work integrating it into an app than at the point of sale, but it turns out it's the opposite. The point of sale, we can talk about it, but it was fairly straightforward. The app, there's a lot more to consider. So I can't make any promises today, unfortunately.
Okay.
We must
But
wait.
we're
And
working on this.
I must come back at one of the yes or no questions we ask you, because there were some tricky ones in it. I prefer a nice glass of South African wine over a bottle of boerbier.
Yeah, well, I mean, we live in the winelands now. Do you know boerbier?
No, I didn't know. I saw it on
No,
his Twitter
no.
feed. So I thought, well,
boerbier.
let's make a question out of it. But
Yes.
tell me about it.
So they also take Bitcoin as payment. So you can buy boerbier with Bitcoin. And of course, if it's a nice sunny and warm day and you've done a lot of proof of work in your garden or wherever and you need a beer, then I'll prefer it. But most of the time I'm sitting back and relaxing and thinking. So then a glass of wine is a bit more my taste for that.
And you didn't you didn't found a winery who's also accepting Bitcoin, or are
Yeah,
there?
actually, there are some wineries. There's a startup winery in Stellenbosch that make fantastic wine. It's called Spyker Bessie. I
Okay.
might have to give you a separate link for that, but Spyker Bessie
Yeah,
accepts Bitcoin payments for really fantastic Malbec, Stellenbosch wine, and Sauvignon Blanc as well.
Perfect, man.
Awesome.
That's nice. Yeah, we have to travel to South Africa, Edward, to try it
You
out.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got
try
excellent
the
food and
wine,
wine,
yeah.
and you can buy everything in Bitcoin.
That sounds great.
That
yeah,
sounds
of
great.
course.
Hey, and the last thing I wanted to ask you, because you told us that Mark Richard Shuttleworth is someone to look up to as a South African, and obviously I think for you, but correct me if I'm wrong, the combination of him being an entrepreneur but also a software developer. And I don't know if you are into space traveling, but he also is the first one that space traveled as a tourist from South Africa.
Yeah,
So
incredible.
I was looking up his history, and what I always do is just put his name on Google or DuckDuckGo and add Bitcoin to it to see if he's a Bitcoiner, because I was expecting him to be a Bitcoiner, but I couldn't find anything other than a thread all the way back to 2013. When someone at the Bitcoin.org forum reached out to him, and he actually makes screenshots of the email asking him to add Bitcoin as a form of payment. But I think, I thought maybe, you know more about Mark Shuttleworth than I do. Will he become a Bitcoiner? Or?
Yeah, no, firstly, you're spot on. Those are the reasons why I look up to him, and in particular his work in the open source space. I don't know anything about how he feels about Bitcoin, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that's interesting to him. I do know that sort of the old guard, for some reason, they don't tend to buy into it as like younger people for some reason. I don't know why it's like that, but I'm sure everybody will come around to it eventually.
Yeah. I also believe that. Don't we, Edward? You too, man.
And I think 2013 was maybe too soon, right? Because then it's even more difficult to implement something.
Yeah,
so
I don't know,
think
but
that will
especially
become
his answer to it. It's a super suggestion.
Yeah.
He stated. So
well,
I was
that
like,
means that he looked it up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I hope I
so
get Mark, if you're watching this, can we have a chat?
Yeah. Combine
that
forces.
would be awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
Join us.
Hey, Carel,
of course.
we have all kinds of questions for you. But it has to be about Luno, and a crypto converter, obviously. But it has to be in the 21 minutes. So if you are ready for the 21 minutes, we would like to enter the part, Carel. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Go.
All right, let's do it.
Connecter le monde.
Well, start with the first one. What's the most significant advancement in the online payment industry to date, considering your long-standing involvement in the field?
I can tell you what I'd like to see. The most important one is breaking away from the card processors. I feel like they are holding everybody hostage, and it's difficult to innovate. And I think if we can move away from that to something else that's borderless and permissionless, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. And then is borderless for you then the main thing that's missing now, or?
Maybe we can talk about it. Borders is one of the issues that we face in South Africa. And if we can eliminate barriers and borders and provide choice to people, that's I think something worth doing.
But borders inside South Africa. Can you elaborate on that, maybe?
Well, I'm talking about the borders between South Africa and the rest of the world, but even inside South Africa, there's all kinds of, I guess you could say, socioeconomic borders as well. People are excluded from a lot of the economy just because they don't necessarily have access to cards. So I think there's a big opportunity here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also understand, Carel, that there are a lot of central banks in Africa, and that if you, for example, want to pay something from Kenya to another country inside Africa, then it's really difficult because it needs to be changed to another currency, and then it goes to another central bank. It takes very long.
And it costs a hell of money, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
And remittances are quite difficult, and we tend to have strict exchange control regulations in these countries that you mentioned. So that's also problematic.
Yeah.
And previously, you have worked for a SnapScan app. Could you elaborate on your role and responsibilities there, and maybe also elaborate a bit about what SnapScan app is, and was this the beginning of your journey in the Bitcoin industry?
SnapScan is a mobile payments app. The mechanism it uses is quick response QR code payments. And this was developed in 2012, 2013, when mobile payments was still relatively unknown in South Africa. So there was a couple of companies trying it, but this is really early days. And it was a novel thing for people. And it was difficult not only to convince merchants to sign up as recipients, but also just people to install the application on their phone and get up and running with that. So that was a challenge. The project was being run with a bank, one of the major banks in South Africa. And as part of that relationship, I was talking to the head of innovation of the bank. Somehow I managed to convince him that we need to run a Bitcoin project as well. And that provided the opportunity to build a full banking integration. As far as I know, the first full bank integration of a Bitcoin wallet in the world. This was 2013, 2014. And
then at that time period, you convinced him to also create a Bitcoin project, because that was quite early, right?
Yeah,
it's fairly early. And then so I immediately left the SnapScan project and started working on the bank's Bitcoin project. So from that, that definitely kickstarted. It wasn't my first interaction with Bitcoin, but it was the first time I had the opportunity to work in the space and contribute. Unfortunately, that project didn't work out. It wasn't a good business to sell Bitcoin products to banks at the time. Maybe today it's different. But even the innovation departments got very excited about it. Compliance departments was the opposite. They put quick stop to it. So we had a nice team built up. We had some very competent people, the early founders, Marcus and Timothy and Peter, and we had to do something with our time. So we decided to pivot to B2C. Bank to bank or business to bank is not going to work. So we decided to build a consumer exchange. And Timothy had actually already built the first website, the first BitX website. So we just took that and iterated until it became Luno.
Oh, perfect. That was the start of Luno.
That was the start, yeah. So Luno, the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in Africa. Can you tell us more about why you left the company? Because of a co-founder, of course, you want to leave things up and running and then on to the next project, perhaps. So we're interested.
Exactly. Yeah. So firstly, it was very important for me to feel that I wasn't leaving at a difficult time or in a bad way where I would leave people without the necessary resources to continue. So firstly, getting to that point. And then secondly, as you say, moving on to new projects. So a funny thing happens when you build a company. It starts out as a very exploratory mission. And then eventually, as you get product market fit, you start hyper-focusing on that key value add that you're offering. So I think maybe merchant payments fell by the wayside, and I felt that it was still an important thing to be building. But that's not the main reason I left. I just wanted to work remotely, and there was an opportunity for that. And this was maybe 6 or 7 months before COVID hit, and then everybody was remote anyway. So it's just bad timing.
Yeah. And because where's Luno based?
Luno has several offices over the world. The nearest one to me is in Cape Town.
Okay. Yeah. And do you think, or is Luno maybe already planning to start accepting Lightning deposits and withdrawals for the people in Africa?
Well, I guess it depends whether Lightning Labs will stop poaching the engineers, because it's had some fantastic bright minds working on Lightning at Luno.
We spoke to Al last year,
and Alex.
And Carla. So I think it's a much more difficult thing for an exchange to add Lightning, because it's essentially a big hot wallet. For me, as a payment provider, it's much simpler because I'm only receiving, so I can keep my wallet balance basically zero. I keep it as close to zero as I can most of the time. For an exchange, it's a much more difficult problem. I do know Luno has engineers that's looking at it. And I would be surprised if they didn't add Lightning support, but it's not an easy thing to solve.
Okay.
For an exchange.
No. Indeed. Yeah, and in one of our recent episodes, we talked about it. We had an opportunity to sit down with El Mouton from Lightning Labs, yes, he also worked for Luno. And what's interesting is that, more prominent figures that we talked also, like Herman Vivier, Carla Kurkohen, and Nogatsu from Machankura, all come from South Africa. And you were also telling that South Africa is a great place with a lot of possibilities for Lightning and Bitcoin. So why is it that we're seeing so many great projects from there, Bitcoin, Lightning related?
Well, firstly, South Africa produces a ton of excellent engineers. We've got a very strong education system and university system that produces a lot of very bright minds. But then also we live in a different context, I think, than a lot of the world. We have this example in our neighboring countries of economic collapse, of hyperinflation. And even in our own country, we see a continual and slow decline of our economy and state services. So it's a constant reminder that we're not moving in the right direction, and that we should be thinking about how we can protect ourselves and promote self-sovereignty. So I think it's a combination of sort of having that thing that's driving us, and then also having the skills and ability to pursue it.
Yeah, but that also means that the story is told, right? Because of course, if people have problems with their self-sovereignty or feel that they need more control, then of course there must be a narrative that they can listen to and think, well, maybe that's for a developer, for example. That's interesting. That's something for me to. So I think that there's also a lot of talk around Bitcoin and Lightning in South Africa. Is that right?
Yeah, in certain circles, and like you said, if you're an engineer, then most likely. But relatively few people in the country are engineers. Most people don't even know what's possible, and it's a difficult thing. It's not an easy thing. Why would you pursue it if you didn't feel a strong need for it? It's a lot of effort.
That's right.
Yeah. And I can imagine that also a lot of people still have problems with, for instance, a good internet connection or something, which is basically necessary for you to use Bitcoin in a good way. So, but yeah, I like the story you just told, because we see that a lot of, I mean, almost every guest we have on the show tells the story that they want to solve a problem they face themselves, and then when they and then their project is built on top of that, and I think that's similar to your story actually. So I think it's also Yeah, it makes sense, right? To just start with something you want to improve yourself. So that's nice. Hey, as the co-founder of cryptoconvert, you have created a solution that enables merchants to easily accept Bitcoin and Lightning payments. Well, Pick and Pay is the most famous one. Can you explain the process for merchants and what do they exactly need in order to start utilizing this solution?
Well, it's very simple, and we try to make it as simple as possible and to abstract away as much of the complexity as possible. So we take care of technical complexity, volatility risk, legal and compliance. That's the stuff that we focus on to solve. And then to the merchant, we just try to offer a very simple interface. In many instances, we don't even give them anything. We look at what's already available in their payment systems, and we'll add an integration into what they have running already. But essentially, for the general market, it will be a very simple, firstly, an API that you can consume if you have a technical ability. And then secondly, we'll start deploying simple plugins for your preferred checkout system.
Yeah. So the one they're using. And is it also available outside of South Africa or only there?
We plan on expanding to neighboring countries in the near future. Right now, it's only in South Africa because this is where we're based, but we don't plan on limiting it to South Africa.
Okay. Yeah, so the technical solution or side is one thing, and the other thing is all legislation and the rules of different countries.
All the red tape.
Yeah, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is it also necessary then to have in the other countries also an office, or can it be from one place?
Well, okay, I think it depends on the jurisdiction and what they require. I don't think there needs to be physical presence, but part of our value add is that we are the interface between the Bitcoin space and fiat space. So we do operate in fiat space, and because of that, there is a ton of compliance and legal stuff that we need to figure out, and that's it's fairly standard, but there are differences between different countries.
Yeah, and I saw that you display a QR code on existing point of sale systems. Imagine I'm a merchant. How can I display the QR code on the screen of my own point of sale system? How do you guys make that work?
It depends on your existing system. It depends what you have, and then we'll have to figure out how to do it. For example, one of the other companies that we're interested in signing up as a network of wine farms and hotels. Mm-hmm. They have an existing point of sale system that allows for integrations, and then we can assist with that. So really, at the moment, we're targeting bigger players, but eventually you can DIY it when the general API is available.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And what actions, if any, are required for customers in order to make use of the payment system? Do they need to download anything or take some special steps, or do they just use their own Lightning wallet and then they are up and running?
So we get to maybe a first contentious point. Ideally, we don't want to add friction to the experience. Ideally, we want you to open your preferred Lightning wallet. You should be able to scan a Lightning invoice and pay it, and that should be the end of your interaction with payment. Practically, what's happened with Pick and Pay is, like I said, we prefer integrating with their existing solutions, and they had an existing QR payment solution, so it's not a Lightning payments code.
Yeah.
It's something else. And so we have to do a translation between the QR code that the existing system's displaying and a Lightning invoice. So what we have done is we've introduced an intermediary application, but it's just a QR code scanner. That's all it is. It scans a QR code, it understands the Pick and Pay QR code, and it can translate it into a Lightning invoice. It immediately opens the Lightning invoice in your preferred wallet on a device. Yeah. And the idea is that eventually a wallet provider, like you mentioned, Mashankura, for example, if they deployed a wallet in South Africa, they could integrate that same QR code scanner and reader, and then it's a direct thing. Then you don't need a third-party app. So we do at the moment have a third-party application, and we can do some cool stuff with that. I mean, that lets us play around, but but that's a necessary evil for now to pay at Pick n Pay with Bitcoin.
But it's a very clever solution.
I
was thinking, how do they do it?
Makes it possible.
It makes sense.
We got a lot of resistance initially, and especially hardcore Bitcoiners, when they hear it the first time, they really don't like the idea. But if you just go through the effort of installing it and trying it out, it's actually quite seamless. Doesn't add any other friction.
I think what you're doing really good is thinking of interoperability must exist, of course, and in the meantime, figuring out a solution that is that makes it easy. And I think making it easy for users, that's the most important thing.
Otherwise, no one will use it,
mass
right?
adoption. Yeah,
that's exactly the perspective. Is that chicken and egg problem? So we're focusing on the one side of that problem, which is creating a supply of merchants. And then hopefully that can help more demand of people wanting to pay in Bitcoin.
Yeah,
because that's your mission, right?
Exactly.
Having more, more users.
Hey, and Pick n Pay is a major company with stores all over South Africa and abroad. Can you give us an explanation about the process of orange peeling a company like that, or are they the ones that reached out to you, or what was the process?
What's the magic trick?
Everybody's asking me this. Everybody's asking. I don't have Pick n Pay. Just a quick for your other listeners, they're the second largest retailer in Africa. Okay. I know in South Africa they're the second largest. So it certainly is a major retailer with many physical stores in the country, and that, like I said, they also do delivery by an app. It is really astounding that we've been able to work with them and offer this solution. So the way it started, actually, I have a co-founder, cryptoconvert co-founder. He's also called Carel. I know it's confusing, but
confusing,
Carel and
he's
Carel.
Also, so he's Carel. And I went back when I saw the interview coming up. I knew you were going to ask this question, so I went back in my mailbox and I found the very first trace of an email referring to the Pick n Pay project. This was in October 2016. So this isn't a new project. It's been coming along for a long time. And this first email was actually from Carl. We both have forgotten about it, where he introduced me to his friend that was doing QR payments for Pick n Pay. And his friend wanted to contact at Luno. Of course, I was one of the Luno founders. So Carl connected us. So it was actually only realizing it tonight, but my co-founder Carl that connected me to the service provider. But in general, if I can say what's a general strategy, firstly, it's useless to talk to anyone except for senior management. You need buy-in from top level executives. If they don't have an appetite for it, you can forget about it, no matter what anybody else promises you. And in Pick n Pay's case, that was available. Their top management felt that they want to differentiate themselves based on tech strategy and a whole bunch of other things. And then one of the things that they identified is giving their customers an option to pay in crypto, Bitcoin specifically. So they were
specifically about Bitcoin. They preferred
not
Bitcoin.
Necessarily. They wanted to add crypto payments.
Okay.
And I said, well, we can do Bitcoin. That's the only thing I'm really comfortable trying to add for you. And to be fair, it didn't work the first time we tried it in 2016, 2017, because we used on-chain payments and, as you know, zero confirmations and all of that nonsense. You can say I didn't do it right, but then I'm happy to have a nice, strong debate with you, because I feel like we did a good job, but it didn't work. Lightning is the only sort of universal payment system, I think, with significant enough adoption that we can, like if we're saying crypto payments, I think really there's no other option than Bitcoin over Lightning. And that's why it's Bitcoin. Okay, I'm getting totally sidetracked and we didn't even get to any of the questions. But that's two things: top executives, and you need a strong industry partner. And in this case, we also had it in the QR payment provider that wanted to do it.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Yeah, but I have one follow-up. But this is what intrigues me, because it failed in 2016, you said, but then you managed to come back at it a couple of years later when the Lightning Network was introduced for you. So they kept interest in it, right?
They kept interest, certainly. Yeah. It's like I said, the interest came from their side. So you definitely need that.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's nice to know. Sorry, Edward.
I have a nice ending.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
What's the most important to focus on the short term to grow adoption? Is it more user friendliness, more point of sale solutions, or better security, or something else?
If you're asking from my perspective, growing adoption is just making more places available where you can spend Bitcoin. But I think the most important thing, if you're asking in the general sense, it always comes back to education around custody, always, because it's not a solved problem. Bitcoin security and custody security has been on social media being discussed a lot lately, and it's still not a solved problem. We definitely need more of that before we can do mass adoption.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Like you said, we had a lot of more questions, but we didn't get to it. Doesn't matter. We would love to have you back on the show one day to talk about Lightning further. And I think Lightning is going to be further away than with adoption, also in South Africa. So a lot to talk about.
Connetti il mondo.
Yeah, we have one question left for you, Carel van Wyk.
That's right.
And the nice thing is, you can pick yourself because we pre-recorded a couple of questions from previous guests or people we like within our network. So Edward can tell you exactly which people you can choose from, and then you can choose one.
All right, there they come. I have for you Marnix Kloek. That's Marnix is from Cheese Robot. I think you know him. And then I have Moritz from GetAlby. And Patrick van der Meijden. He's the founder of Bitkassa. That's a payment provider in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. Which one will it be?
Patrick's James, Mr. Lop's co-worker. So if I can pick him, please.
Yeah,
sure.
Of course.
Let's do it.
So Patrick it is. Here he comes.
Hi, this is Patrick van der Meijden. I know you like the Lightning Network, but still, what was the most annoying experience you've had using the Lightning Network?
I'm glad I picked that one, because there is one very annoying thing about the Lightning Network and Lightning payments. And that is when you start going above about 1 million sats, 1.5 million sats. Because I want to be signing up car merchants. I want people to be buying their Lambos with Bitcoin. Not really, I'm kidding. But no, really. To buy their cars in Bitcoin, to buy their house in Bitcoin. And there's some upper limit where it becomes unreliable.
Yeah, you mean because there are no paths to find, or there's not enough liquidity with your peers or something.
Yeah, multipath payment, but bigger prices. Yeah. I think I heard Graham Kreitzek from one day. He was talking about it in a podcast. He's from Graham Kreitzek is from Voltage, and he was talking about it. That he believes Lightning can really do that one day, and I think perhaps it is, but like you said before, all the security things, it's just not mature enough to do that right now. But of course.
It will come. But I think there's only...
If we all want this, then...
Yeah, but there's a solution to this, right? If the price increases, we have to go up. Yeah, we don't talk about the price, but this is the main solution, I think.
And then we have more Rings of Fire, Steph.
Oh man, then the more than 15 Bitcoin we have put into the Lightning Network will be stunning. It is already, but then, oh man.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, man.
It's a matter of time.
Thanks for the answer.
It's a matter of time, yeah.
Conectează lumea.
Hey, yeah, we can give a prize away, guys.
Indeed.
Talking to all the listeners and viewers. When you told us, Carel, I was laughing right away because I think this is a great prize to give away. We can give away sets to buy one or maybe two pizzas. I think it's two, eh? Two pizzas. So 2 pizzas worth of sets. That's the prize we are giving to give away. So Carel, what do the people need to do in order to make chance to win?
It's very simple. You have to make a video of yourself spending sats at Pick n Pay, and then you have to tag cryptoconverted on Twitter or however you want to tag us, and then the 2 pizzas worth of sats is yours.
Perfect. And
Awesome.
I'm reading here, the first 2 new videos will win 2 pizzas worth of sets. Is that still correct?
Yep. First 2 videos get
So we will have 2 winners then. That's great.
Yeah, and I want a good picture of the pizza, of course.
Yeah, sure. and to be clear, they can buy anything as long as they use as long as they use Bitcoin.
Yeah, it can be a stick. It can be a stick of gum or a packet of chips. In fact, we actually like these tests that spend as little as possible because that's a demonstration of how well micropayments work on Lightning.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
So post a video on Twitter, guys and girls, and tag cryptoconverted and CTW podcast.
Oh, they can also tag us, of course. So we can keep an eye of this prize.
Don't forget it. And maybe you're the winner.
Nice.
Conectează lumea.
Hey, Carel, thanks for the talk, man.
Yeah,
really
thanks
inspiring.
again, Carel.
And I really love the work you do and your team, of course. Where can people follow you? Can you maybe share your Twitter, your personal, or maybe just from a cryptoconverted or whatever you like, of course?
Yeah, I think the best one is the cryptoconverted Twitter handle. Obviously, that gives you an idea of where the word cryptoconvert comes from. It's like you have to convert yourself. I know it's crypto, but just imagine it says Bitcoin converted. Just doesn't rhyme as nicely.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Okay, so well, thanks for the talk. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks again, indeed.
Cool.
And thanks for listening, and thanks to all members participating in the Satoshi Radio Rings of Fire, of course. Also, thanks helping us to connect the world together. And if you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also donate and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform, of course, or podcasting 2.0. So we need you to complete our mission, connect the world, and keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and rings burning. And see you all next week on the same Lightning channel.
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens.
Nee.